Finnegans Wake by James Joyce, Book 1, Chapter 8, Section 205. Through her catchment ring she freed them easy with her hips hurrahs, for her knees dontelleries, the only par with frills in all the plain. So they are, I declare, well and well. If tomorrow keeps fine, who'll come tripping to sight see? Howl? Ask me next what I haven't got. The Belvederian exhibitioners, in their cruisery caps and oars club colours, what hoo they band, and what ho they buck. And here is her nubily letters too, Ellis on key in scarlet thread, linked for the world on a flush-coloured field, and on Wakese, after to show they're not Laura Kenones. Oh, may the Diablo twist your safety pin, you child of Mammon, Kinzella's Lilith. Now who has been tearing the leg of her drawers on her? Which leg is it? The one with the bells on it. Rinse them out in a stone along with you. Where did I stop? Never stop. Continuation. You're not there yet. I am still waiting. Garon, Garon. Well, after it was put in the mercy cordial mendicants sitterdag zinda munade. Uexkrift. For once they salute their white kidloffs, chewing cuds after their dinners of cheeking and begging with their show us it here and their mind out of that and there. When you're quite finished with the reading material, even the snee that Snowden his whoring hair had a schooner against him. Thaw, sava savuto. Score her chuff ex-squire. Everywhere, if you went, and every bung you ever dropped into, in sit or suburb, or in adult areas, the Rose and Bottle, the Phoenix Tavern, or Powers Inn, or Jude's Hotel, or wherever you scoured the countryside from Nannywater to Vaudreville, or from Porta Latin to the Luton Quarter, you find his icon exed, tip-side down, or the corner's boys cammocking his guy, and Morris the man with the roll of a Royce in his Turgos the Turbo. Evropihan, Chick house, unskim suit and yahoot. Haman now chick me, Adam this way make, Fatima, half turn, reeling and railing round the loco as the pee-hose piped on. Ubanjis twanged, with Oddfellow's triple tiara Busby, Rotunda drinking round his scalp, like pate by the never or pit of a mere. This is the houseman all paven and stoned, that crept the cabin that never was owned, that cocked his leg and henned his egg, and the modern rabble round him in Areopage, fracasing a great bing-kang cagnan with their timpan crowders. Mind your grim father, think of your ma. Hing the hung in his joves, hang nomen, lilt a bolero, bulling a law. She swore across 9 windabouts. She's be level with all the snags of them yet. Par the vulnerable virgins, married a dime. So, she said to herself, she'd frame a plan to fake a shine, the mischief maker, the like of you never heard. What plan? Tell me quick and don't go so cruel. What did the mother did she mage? Well, she bergen a zagbag, a chamois mail sack, with the lend of a loan of the light of his lampion off one of her swampsons, shone the post, and then she went and consulted her chapbooks, old Moat Moore, Cases Euclid, and the fashion display, and made herself title to join in the masquerade. Oh, giggle of gigwells, I can't tell you how. It's too screaming to riso rabbit at all. Mine ha, mine hi. Mine he, mine ho. Oh, but you must. You must really. Make my hear it gurgle, gurgle, like the fairest gargle, gargle, in the dusky durgle, dargle, by the holy well of Muhuldart, I swear. I pledge my chances getting to heaven through Tiri and Killy's mount of impiety to hear it all. Aviary word. Oh, leave me my faculties, woman, a while. If you don't like my story, get out of the pond. Well, have it your own way, so. Here, sit down and do as you're bid. Take my stroke and bend to your bow. Forward in and pull your over the poise. Lisp it slaney and crisp it quiet. Deal me longsome tongue your time now. Breathe that deep. Thou art the fairway. Hurry slow and shall you go. Lends us your blessed ashes here, till I scrub the cannon's underpants. Flow now. Over more, and pulley pulley. First, she let her hair fall, and down it flossed to her feet its stevie its winding coils. Then, mother naked, she shampooed herself with gala water and fragrant pistania, mud, whopper and lower, from crown to sole. Next, she greased the groove of her keel, wards and wears and mole and itcher with anti-fouling butterscotch, and turpentine, and serpentine, and with leaf mold. She ushered little Brunella Isles and Islats done, queen's cunt all over her little Mary, peeled gold of waxwork her jelly belly, and her grains of incense and gules bronze. And after that, she wove a garland for her hair. She plaited it, of meadowgrass and river flags, the bulrush and waterweed, and the fallen griefs of weeping willow. Then she made her bracelets and her anklets and her armlets, and the jetty amulet for necklace of clicking cobbles and pattering pebbles, and rumble down rubble, Richmond and rare, of Irish rune Reiner stones, and shell marble bangles. That done, a dock of smut to her airy Anushka Lutesievich Puflava, and the lily-post cream to her lipolines, and the pick of the paint box for her pomades, from strawberry reds to extra violets. And she sended her boudoir maids to his affluence, Silegia grande, and Kershi real, and 2 jerseys with respects from his Misses Sippy and Suri, and a request might she pass of him for a minikin, a call to pay and light a taper in Brie on Arosa, back in a sprisling, the cock striking mine, the stall's bridely sign, there's Zambosi waiting for me. She said she wouldn't be half her length away. Then, as soon as the lump in his back was turned, her mealie bag slang over her shoulder, Anna Livia Oysterface, forth of her basin came. Describe her. Hustle along, why can't you? Spits on the iron while it's hot. I wouldn't miss her for earthing on earth, not for the lucre of Lomba Strait, oceans of gowd, I Mosel hear that. Ogo we presta leste before Julia sees her. I shikari and washing mix God, the garishi, karatimeni, ho lady fair, duo desamorun, Bonaventura, Malagasy. What has she on, the little old oddity? How much did she scallop, harness and weights? Here she is, amnesty Anne. Call her calamity electrifies man. No electrics at all, but old map and necessity, hanging mother of engines. I tell you a test, but you must sit still. Will you hold your peace and listen well to what I am going to say now? It might have been 10 or 20 to 1 of the night of All Close or next of April when the flip of a hoogly igloo flapped, and out toed Tippet, a bushwoman, the dearest little Moma ever you saw, nodding around her all smiles with aims of embarrass and awes to awe, between two ages, a Judy queen, not up to your elb. Quick, look at her cute and say's her quirk, for the bicker she lives, the slicker she grows. Save us and tell us, no more? Where in Oort did you ever pick a lambe chop as big as a battering ram? Aye, you're right. I'm ipt to forgetting. Like Livium little did love me long, the length of my how, I say. She wore a ploughboy's nail-studded clogs, a pair of plough fields in themselves, a sugarloaf hat with a gaudy quivery peak, and a band of gorse for an ornament, and 100 streamers dancing off it, with a gilded pin to pierce it. Hour-glassy bicycles boggled her eyes, and fishnets veil for the sun, not to spoil the wrinklings of her hide aspects. Potato rings buckled the loose lobes of her loud snarers. Her nude Cuba stockings were salmos speckled. She sported a calico shimmy of hazy vapor tinto that never was fast till it ran in the washing. Stout stays, the rivals, lined her length. Her blood-orange bach knickers, a two-in-one garment, showed not true knickerbockers, fussy fastened, free to undo. Her black striped tan Joseph was sequin sewn and teddy bear lined with wavy rush green epaulets, and lay down here and there royal swan's ruff, a brace of gaspers stuck in her hair rope garters. Her civvy corduroy coat with alphabet buttons were boundaried round with a 2-bar tunnel belt. A 4-penny bit in each pocket side weighed her safe from the blow-away windrush. She had a clothes peg tight astride on her jockey's nose, and she kept on grinding something quaint in her fumy mouth. And the recce of the floof of the tail of the gowan of her snuff-drab Sula skirt trailed 50 old Irish miles behind her longer holds. Hell's bells! I'm sorry I missed the sweet gumpty yum, and nobody fainted, but in the whelk of her mouths was her nasal light. Everyone that saw her said the douse little Delia looked a bit queer. Lotsy trotsy, mind the paddle. Missus, be good and don't fall in the safe, any poor hex. She must have charred. Kickums a frumpier ever you saw, making marshmallet eyes at her boys double on. And they crowned her their Chariton queen, all the maids. Of the May? You don't say. Well, for her she couldn't see herself, I reckons. Wherefore the darling murrayed her mirror. She did? Mercy me! There was a chorus of drought-dropping surfacemen, boom-slanging and plug-chewing, fruit-eyeing and flower-feeding, in contemplation of the fluctuation and the undification of her filamentation, lulling and leasing on North Lace's wall, all ill-fair weak, by the Jukas yoiks, and as soon as they saw her meander by the maritime way, in her grass-winter's weeds, and twigged who was under her archdeaconess bonnet, Avondale's fish and Clarence's poison sedges and to Annaba, wit upon crutches to Master Bates, between our two south sates, and the granite their warming o' her face had been lifted or Alp has dote. But what was the game in her mix, baggy hattie? Just the tembo in her tumbo, or pilly from her pepper pot? Sauce and toss and species bizarre? And weren't under did she blunder? For the battle, or if to the ball? I want to get it frisk from the source. I obeyed my beer it's worthwhile poaching on. Shake it up, do, that's a good old son of a ditch. I promise I'll make it worth your while, and I don't mean maybe, nor yet what a good for. Spay me proof, and I'll tell you true. Well, Orund girond, in a wave nae line, a ringa roma. She pattered, unswung, unsidled, dribbling her boulder through narrower Moses. De deliski driana dryer side and the wild vetchwein aginas, curara here, cariro there, not knowing which medway a weezer to strike it. Ederida making Chattahoochee all to her ein chio, like Santa Claus at the cree of the pale and puny nistling, to hear for their tiny hearties, her arms encircling Isabella, then running with reconciled Romas and reams, on like a lech, to be off like a dart, then bathing dirty hand spatters with spittle, with a Christmas box apiece for Aish and either one of her childer. The birthday gifts they dreamt they gave her, the spoiled she fleetly laid at her door, on the mat by the pouch. And in under the cellar, the rivulets ran a flood to sea, the glacier boys, the polynooties, out of the pound shop, up to the pyre. And they all about her juvenile leads and ingenuinas, from the slime of their slums and artisan dwellings, rickets and riots like the smiley boys at their vice-reign's levy. Vivi vien, little Anchen, Vielo Anna, high life. Sing a Sasula, o Susuria, au son si dulcis. Hasn't she timbre? Chipping her and raising a bit of a chair, or a jarry every day she'd nip in her cul-de-saco of Wabash. She rubbed and reached out her moundy mere shondies, poor souvenirs, poor recorder, and all for so a ringaroon, stinkers and healers, laggers and prime lads. Her foos-born sons and dribble-derry daughters, 1,001 of them, and wicker-pot luck for each of them. For evil and ever, and kicks the botch, and tinkers ban and a borrow. To boil his billy for Gypsy Lee, a cartridge of kakaliki soup for Chummy the guardsman, for sulky Pender's acid nephew, deltoid drops, curiously strong. A cough and a rattle and wild rose cheeks for poor Piccolina Petite MacPhalen. A jigsaw puzzle of needles and pins and blankets and shins between them for Isabel Jezebel and Ewan Marriage. A brazen nose and pig-eye and mittens for Johnny Walker Big. A papa flag of the saints and stripes for Kevin O'Day. A puff for Pudge Craig, and a night marching hare for Tetcher Team Tong Bigby, Waterleg and Gumboots each for Bully Hayes and Hurricane Hotigan, a prodigal heart and fatted calves for Buck Jones, the pride of Clonliffe, a loaf of bread and a father's early aim for Val from Skibbereen, a jaunting car for Larry Doolan, the Ballyclee Jacking, a seasick trip on a government ship for Teague O'Flanagan, a louse and a trap for Jerry Coyle, slush mince pies for Andy Mackenzie, a hair clip and clack dish for Penceless Peter, that 12-sound look for G.V. Brooke, a drowned doll to face downwards for modest sister Ann Mortimer, altar falls for Blanchise's bed, Wheeldeer's breeches for Magpig Wappington, to Sue Dot a big eye, to Sam Dash a full step, snakes and clover peaked and scotched and Vatican viper catcher's visa for Patsy Presby, a Reese every morning for Standfast Dick, and a drop every minute for Stumblestone Davy, Screwbog beads for Beatified Beady, to apple tweed stools for Eva Mobley, for Sarah Philpott or Jordan Vale, Terrorn, a pretty box of petty fibs powder for Eileen Aruna to whiten her teeth and outflash Helen Arhorn, a whipping top for Eddie Lawless, for Kitty Coleraine of Butterman's Lane, a Pennywise for her foolish pitcher, a putty shovel for Terry the Pacone, and a potamus mask for Promoter Doan, an Easter egg with a toy-stated shell, and the dynamite ride for Pavel the curate, a colour morbis for Man in the Cloak, a star and a curtain for Draper and Dean, for Will of the Wisp and Bonnie the Bach, to Mangold's Noble to Sweden their bitters, for Oliver bound away in his fray, for Sumas thought little, a crown he feels big, a Tibertine's pile for Congo's wood cross, on the back for Sonny Twim Jim. A praises be and spare me days for Brian the Bravo. Pent plenty of pity, with lubelashings of lust for Olona, Lena, Magdalena. For Camilla, Dromilla, Ludmilla, Mamilla, a bucket, a packet, a book, and a pillow. For Nancy Shannon, a Tuami brooch. For Dora Ripari, a hope and water, a cooling douche, and a warming pan. A pair of Blonnie Brags for Wally, Miga. A hairpin slate pencil for Elsie Oram to scratch her Toby, doing her best with her vulgar fractions. An old age pension for Betty Belleza. A bag of the blues for funny fits. A Missa Promessa for Taff de Taff. Jill, the spoon of a girl for Jack, the broth of a boy. A Rogerson Crusoe's Friday fast for Caducus Angelus Rubiconstein. 360 poplin tine for Reverie Warp in the Weaver's Wolf for Victor Huguenot. A stiff-steaded rake and good varian's muck for Kate the Cleaner. A hole in the ballad for Hosty. 2 dozen of cradles for JFXP Coppinger. 10 pouting on the pop for the dolphins born with 5 spoiled squibs for Infanta. A letter to last a lifetime for Maggie beyond the ash pit. The heftiest frozen meat woman from Lusk to Livianbad for Phelim the Ferry. Spas and Speranza and Symposium syrup for Decade and Blind and Gouty Go. A change of knaves and joys of eels for Armoricus Tristam Armour St. Lawrence. A guillotine shirt for Reuben Redbreast and hempen suspendeeds for Brennan on the Moor. An oak and knee for Conductor Sawyer and Moose Cau du Bois for great tropical Scots. A C3 peduncle for Carmelite Cane. A sunless map of the month, including the sword and stamps, for Seamus O'Shawn the post. A jackal with hide for Brown but Nolan. A stone-cold shoulder for Don Joe Vance. All lock and no stable for Honor Bright Merry Tricks. A big drum for Billy Dunboyne. A guilty goldeny bellows. Blow me for Ida, Ida and Hushabye Raka. El Truve Tu for Who is Sylvia? Where is he? Whatever you like to swilly to swash. Eunice or Yenesi, Lagan or Niger, for Festus King and Roaring Peter and Frisky Shorty and Treacle Tom and O.B. Behan and Sully the Thug and Master McGrath and Peter Cloran and O'Delaware Rosa and Nerone Mac Payson and whoever you chance to meet knocking around. And a pig's bladder balloon for Selina Susquehanna Stakelum. But what did she give to Pruda Wood and Katie Cannell and Peggy Quilty and Briley Brosna and Tizzy Kieran and Ina Lappen and Muriel Massey and Susan Carmack and Melissa Bradog and Flora Ferns and Fox Goodman, and Gretna Greeny, and Penelope Inglesant, and Lesba licking the Litha Lion, and Roxana Rohan with Simpatica Sohan, and Una Bina La Terza, and Trina La Mesme, and Philomena O'Farrell, and Irmak Ellie, and Josephine Foyle, and Snakehead Lily, and Fontenoy Laura, and Marie, Xavier, Agnes, Daisy, Frances the Sales McClay. She gave them Ilka Madre's daughter a moonflower and a blood vein, but the grapes that ripe before reason to them that divide the vine-dress. So, uneasy, her shame made, love shone befound her tears, as from shame her pen might life past befoul his prime. My colonial ward a bagful, a baccarines designed with tithe tillies to boot. That's what you may call a tale of a tub. And Hibernonian market. Oh, that and more under one crinoline envelope, if you dare to break the pork barrel seal. No wonder they'd run from her pison plague. Throw us your Hudson soap, for the honour of clean. The wee taste the water left, I raft it back first thing in the morn. Merced mould, aye, and don't forget the records I low hand you. You've all the swirls your side of the current. Well, am I to blame for that if I have? Who said you to blame for that if you have? You're a bit on the sharp side. I'm on the wide. Only Snuffer's cornet drifts my way that the cracker divine chucks out his cassock. With her Esther years, Mosh Narcissus to make him recant his vanity fair. Faust strips of his Chinook's Bible I do be reading Dardwell disgusted but tickled with chuckles at the tittles is drawn on the title page. Signor Gadito facesi homo e homo fufo ho ho. Signor Gadito faciasi hidamo sega facesa ha ha. And die Windermere, Dieter, and Lefano Sheridan's old house by the courtyard. And Mill, J, on woman, with ditto on the floors. Ja, a swamp for Altmula, and a stone for his flossies. I know how racy they move his wheel. My hands are blow cold between Iska and Suda, like that piece of pattern Cheney there, lying below. Or where is it? Lying beside the sedge I saw it. Hoing ho, my sorrow, I've lost it. Aim he with that Turberry, what who could see? So near and yet so far, but oh, Gihon, I love it a gabba, I could listen to Maor and moreover again. Regen on the river, flies to your float, thick is the life for me. Well, you know or don't you, ken it? Or haven't I told you? Every telling has a tailing, and that the he and the she of it. Look, look, the dusk is growing. My branches lofty are taking root, and my cold chair's gone ashly. Philur? Philu? What age is that? Its sound is late. 'Tis endless now sin I or ere one last saw Waterhouse's cloak. They took it asunder. I heard them sigh. When will they reassemble it? Oh, my back, my back, my back. I'd want to go to Aklampan Ping Pong. There's the bell for sexoloids. And concepta du sin the spray. Pang, ring out the clothes, ring in the door. God avert the showers, and grant thy grace. Amen. We will spread them here now. Aye, we will. Flip. Spread on your bank and I'll spread mine on mine. Flip. It's what I'm doing. Spread. It's turning chill. The wind is rising. I'll lay a few stones on the hostel sheets. A man and his bride embraced between them. Else I'd have sprinkled and folded them only. And I'll tie my butcher's apron here, it's suety yet. The strollers will pass it by, 6 shifts, 10 kerchiefs, 9 to hold to the fire, and this for the code. The convent napkins 12, 1 baby shawl. Good Mother Joseph knows, she said. Who said? Mother snores. The Atasias. Why now, all her childer say. In kingdom gone, or power to come, or gloria be to them farther. All'alivio, all'alluvio. Here, more again lost a la stranger. I've heard tell that same brooch of the Shannons was married into a family in Spain, and all the Dundas the Dons in Markland's Vinland, beyond Brendan's herring pool. Takes number 9 in Yangtze's hat, and one of Biddy's beads went bobbing till she rounded up lost. Kissed her Eve, with a marigold and a cobbler's candle in a side strain of a main drain. Of a man's in a hurry's off bachelor's walk, but all that's left to the last of the meagres in the loop of the years prefixed and between is 1 knee buckle and 2 hooks in the front. Do you tell me that now? I do, in troth. O rara por orbe and por las animas, usa ula we umbas all. Mesa, didn't you hear it? A deluge of times, oofra and oofa. Respond to spond. You did. I need. It's that era worrying I've stoke in my hours. It all but husheth the lettets zoned. Orinoco, what's your trouble? Is that the great Finn leader himself, in his jokemono, on his statue riding the high horse there, for Hengist? Father of Arthurs, it is himself yonder. Is it that? Oh, fatherling coming? You're thinking of Astley's amphitheatre, where the bobby restrained you, making sugar-struck bouts to the ghost white horse of the Peppers. Throw the cobwebs from your eyes, woman, and spread your washing proper. It's well I know your sort of flap. Island sober's island stiff. Lord help you, Maria, full of grease, the Lord is with me. Your prayers I so. Madam Mangot, were you lifting your elbow? Tell us grazy cheeks in Conway's Carigacura canteen. Was I what? Hobbledy hips? Flop. Your rear gates creak a human beats, your butts disagrees. Amped I up since the deep dawn. Martyred merely alagoc, with Corrigan's pulse and varicose veins, my praxmax so smashed, Alice Jane in decline, and my one-eyed mongrel twice run over, soaking and bleaching boiler rags, and sweating cold a widow like me, for to deck my tennis champion son, the laundryman, with the lavender flannels. You won your Limpopo limp from the husky huskars, when collars and cuffs was heir to the town, and your slur gave the stink to Carlo. Holy Scamanda, I saw it again. Near the Golden Falls, Easy's on us. Scenes of light. Zizere, subdue your noise, you humble creature. What is it but a blackberry growth, or a dwyer grey ask them for old cotter's owns? Are you mean Tarby and Lyons and Gregory? I mean now. Think the 4 of them and the row of them that draves that stray in the mist, and old Johnny McDougal along with them. Is that the Poolbeg Flasher Bayant far, or a fireboat coasting near the Kishna? Or a glow I behold within a hedge, or my Gary come back from the Indies. Wait till the honeying of the loon, love. Die, Eve, little Eve, die. We see that wonder in your eye. We'll meet again, we'll part once more. The spot I'll seek if the hour you'll find. My church shines high, where the blue milk's upset. Forgive me quick, I'm going, bye-bye. And you pluck your watch, forget me not, your even load so safe to me journey's end. My sights are swimming thicker on me, by the shadows to this place. I so home slowly now by own way, Moy valley way, Towie I too, rach mine. Ah, but she was the queer old skio washer, anyhow. Anna Livia, trinket toes. And sure he was the queer old buns too. Dear dirty dumpling, Foos, the father of Fingals and other gills. Gammer and Gaffer were all their gangsters. Hadn't he 7 dams to wive him? And every dam had her 7 crotches, and every crotch had its 7 hues, and each hue had a differing cry. Suds for me, and supper for you, and the doctor's bill for Joe John. Before, he married his markets cheap by foul. I know, like any Etrurian Catholic heathen, in their pinky, limony, creamy bearnies, and their Turkish Indian mauves. But at milkied mass, who was the spouse? Then all that was fair. Tice Elvenlan, teams of times and happy returns, the Simonu. Ordovico, Oviro Cordo, Anna was, Livia is, plurabels to be. Northmen's thing made South folks place, but how multipluritas made, each one in person. Latin me that, my Trinity scholard, out of your Sanskrit into our iron. Hircus Sivas Iblanensis. He had buckled paps on him, soft ones for orphans, oh Lord, twins of his bosom, Lord save us and ho, hey? What all men? Heart? His tittering daughter of? Walk? Can't hear, with the waters of, the chittering waters of flittering bats, field mice, bog talk, ho. Are you not gone home? What? Thomas Malone? Can't hear with balk of bats, oh, them leafying waters of. Ho, talk save us, my fools won't moose. I feel as old as yonder elm. A tale told of Sean or Shem? Olivia's daughter-sons, dark hawks near us. Night, night, my whole head holds. I feel as heavy as yonder stone. Tell me of John or Sean. Who were Shem and Sean the living sons or daughters of? Night now. Tell me, Elm. Night, night. Tell me tale of stem or stone, besides the rivering waters of hither and thithering waters of night.